Have you ever sat there, staring at your phone, wondering what you did wrong? You were kind, consistent, honest. You showed up. You cared. And yet, she drifted, slowly, quietly, without warning. Not because you lacked value, but because you gave it too easily. She didn't have to earn your attention. She never had to wonder if you'd reply. You were always available, always explaining, always proving. And that killed the tension. People don't chase what they already have. They crave what's uncertain, what's not fully in reach. She didn't lose interest because you were too little. She lost interest because there was nothing left to chase. Every time you over-communicated, every time you poured out your feelings without pause, you took away her chance to want you. Because want is built on distance, on mystery, on space. She knew exactly where you stood, but you had no idea where she was. That imbalance. That's when she pulled away. Dark psychology isn't about tricks. It's about control of yourself. It's about mastering that space between being close and being gone. The less predictable you are, the more she thinks about you. The more space you leave, the more tension you build. And in tension, desire is born. Stop asking what you did wrong. Start asking why you gave everything before she earned anything. Because when you remove the chase, you remove the attraction. And once you see that, everything changes. You see, the moment she feels like she has you, she stops trying to keep you. Not because she's cruel, but because certainty kills curiosity. And without curiosity, there's no pursuit. You were too certain, too available, too easy to understand. You thought communication would build connection, but sometimes it builds predictability, and predictable is forgettable. She didn't want your paragraphs. She wanted your absence to mean something, your silence to speak louder than all the words you kept sending. But you kept chasing. You thought honesty would earn you love, that showing more of yourself would pull her closer. But she wasn't reading your words. She was watching your patterns. And every time you showed up too fast, you proved one thing. You need her more than she needs you. And that was the moment everything shifted. She stopped replying, stopped initiating, started pulling away, while you overcompensated. Not because you were wrong, but because you gave without resistance, without pause, without mystery. And when there's no resistance, there's no tension. And without tension, there is no want, not real want, just comfort. And comfort never creates desire. Jake used to be the one who always texted first. Long messages, quick replies, too much clarity, too much emotion. He thought consistency would win her over, but all it did was drain him. She started replying less, started taking longer, started acting like she had options. At first, he blamed himself. Maybe he said too much. Maybe he cared too fast. But the truth? He just made himself too predictable. So one day, Jake stopped. No explanation, no big exit. He just slowed down. Short replies, more space, fewer words. He focused on the gym, got off social media, started posting less, started saying less. And that's when it changed. She noticed watched his stories, liked old posts, dropped a hey stranger out of nowhere. Not because he convinced her, but because he stopped performing. Jake didn't get bitter, he got quieter. And in that silence, she felt what he never had to say. If this made something click, don't scroll. Subscribe. This space isn't for the loud, it's for the ones who've been quiet for too long. Now she's thinking, not because you ghosted, but because you stopped glowing for her. You pulled back, not out of anger, but because chasing felt like begging. And now, she notices everything. The pause, the silence, the absence of your attention. Before she knew where you were. Now, she feels where you're not. That shift, it's not about ignoring her. It's about centering yourself. Because when you stop orbiting her, you start becoming gravity. She checks your profile more than she responds. She drafts messages she doesn't send. She watches you become the version of yourself that doesn't need her validation. And that version? That's the one she wants. Not the man who begged. The one who disappeared without noise, without bitterness, without closure. The one who finally saw his worth and stopped explaining it. Power doesn't announce itself. It removes itself and watches who notices. Now she's noticing. You're not who you were. You don't ask how she feels. You don't remind her you're there. You just are. And that unbothered presence, that's what keeps her up at night. Because deep down, she knows you were always the one. She just realized too late. She starts testing you now. Little things. A story you're meant to react to. A dry hey at 11:47 p.m. A post that feels aimed at you, but never says your name. She wants a signal. A crack in your silence. A hint that you still care. But you don't bite. You've learned. Attention is power. And now, you use it wisely. You don't reply fast. You don't explain your delay. You're calm, short, unbothered. And she feels it. In her chest, in her ego, in her control slipping. You were once the comfort she could ignore. Now you're the distance she can't reach. Not because you became cruel, but because you became rare. She'll try to confuse you, laugh in comments, mention other guys, pretend she's fine. But that's the test. That's where most men fail. They see a flash of attention and go running back. But you know better. You know that anyone can trigger feelings, but very few can hold their frame when the game flips. And right now, she's the one guessing. You're not the same man. And she doesn't know how to reach the version of you that no longer needs her. And that silence, that's the part she respects, even if she'll never admit it. Now she's not just curious, she's conflicted. She remembers how easy it used to be, how you'd drop everything just to reply. Now, she can't read you, can't predict you, can't move you. And that unsettles her. Because what scares people more than rejection is irrelevance. You're not bitter. You're just better. You don't hate her. You've just healed past the version of you that used to need her approval. And healing, it's louder than silence. She scrolls through your page, looks for signs, wonders who you've become. Because the man she once knew, he's gone, replaced by someone calm, sharp, focused, untouched by her presence, unmoved by her absence. That man, she can't control, and that's what draws her in. Because mystery triggers imagination, and imagination is far more dangerous than reality. Now she's the one with questions. Now she's the one overthinking. Now she's chasing clarity you'll never hand out again. Because you learn something most men don't. You don't win by making her feel less. You win by showing her you never needed to be chosen to feel whole. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the shift. You stopped trying to change her, stopped trying to decode her, stopped reacting to silence with desperation. Because Stoicism isn't coldness, it's clarity. You feel the emotion, you just don't let it run you. She ghosts you, you stay calm. She flirts with someone else, you stay focused. She comes back, you don't chase, you observe. That's power. Because most men live in reaction. They need a text back to feel worthy, a like, a hey, anything to feel seen. But not you, not anymore. Now you understand. Her behavior isn't about you, it's about her. And your worth? It doesn't move based on her attention. It's anchored inside. She might come back. She might not. But either way, you're good. Because Stoicism isn't about being passive. It's about being unshakable. You don't play games. You don't chase highs. You choose peace over performance. And that version of you, that's what she never expected and can't forget. She'll remember you, not because you begged, not because you chased, but because you stopped. You became silent, steady, harder to reach. And that broke the pattern. You didn't pull away to get a reaction. You pulled away because you finally saw how much it cost you to stay. Now she replays it all. The late replies, the dismissive tone, the attention she thought you'd always give. But you're not there anymore. Not emotionally, not mentally, not even in anger. Because walking away in silence says more than screaming ever could. She checks your profile, wonders what you're thinking, who you're talking to, if you still remember. But you're not watching her anymore. You're watching your own life, your own peace, your own growth. You didn't lose her. You found the version of you that didn't need her to feel worthy. That's what she never expected, that you'd actually let go. Not to punish, not to prove anything. Just because holding on became disrespect to yourself. And that's what haunts people the most, not rejection, but being released without resistance, without a scene, without closure, because it forces them to sit with everything they never gave when you were still there. Let them sit with it. Let the silence speak. Let the absence teach. She might act unbothered, post more, laugh louder, try to move faster than the truth. But underneath that noise is confusion, regret, and questions with no answers. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to win. You just have to walk away and mean it. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. And when you do, they feel it, because the loudest goodbye is the one they never hear. The people who try to shake your calm are the ones who never had their own. But here, you've found your ground. So stay, watch this next video, and keep rising silently. Inner Fort, subscribe, stay strong.